Okay, so Ikita Amri. So we're going back. So up to this point, Ikita Amri, Amar Rava, V'kein Le'in Gittin. So up to this point, we've had Ein Oinus Begittin, and now Rava. This is Ikita Amri. We're flipping the script. Alma Kasava Rava Yesh Oinus Begittin. So up to this point, we're discussing Ein Oinus Begittin. Now we're saying Yesh Oinus Begittin. So Rashi here, V'kein Le'in Gittin Alafikach Kai. The Tainin Tainus Oines B'Tanai Haget Lahavko. So this is going back on the lefikach. If he is oines in the state of not being able to kindness her when the 12 months are up, he doesn't have to give her mazoinus. That's the lefikach we've had. It seems like a different lifetime, but it's only in the previous daf. So lefikach kai that we say the tainus oines b'tanai haget, and then it's so the kein le'inin Gittin, they're just like Oines potters you. So to Oines in the Tanai will remove the get. So we're going to get a kind of flip of what we've had so far. Alma Kasava Rava Yesh Oines Begittin. So again, what does that mean, Yesh Oines Begittin? It means that you have a Taina of Oines on the Tanai of Gittin. If you make a Tanai for Gittin, and you were Oines in Mekaimin the Tanai, you have you have that Taina. So Meisvei, so we're having an attack on Rava. So again, we got two Lashonis. Every Meisvei here is a Messiah on the other language, on the first Lashon. So this on the second Lashon, the Meisvei is going to be an attack. So the first Lashon, it was a support. Hareza Gitech, this is your get. Im lo bati mekan ve'et shnayim asar chodesh. So this get will chal if I don't come back. If I see you again in the next 12 months, so it's not going to be a get. If I don't come back, then it will be a get. The guy dies, but Tok Shnam Misar Chodesh ain't no get. So then it's not a get if he dies within 12 months. So therefore it's only mace who de ain't no get. So chala hareze get. So if he's sick, then it is a get. Now, how is this a proof that how's this an attack? Because yesh oinus begittin, so you say that if I do not turn up, then it's a get, and the guy gets sick and he doesn't turn up. So the get chals. So how does the get chal? The get chals because he fulfilled the tanai of the get, but it was through oinus. He said if there was yesh oinus begittin, then you'll say that it's like I arrived, or it's like I didn't. It's not that I didn't come because I was oines. Therefore, the chala, the getting sick, was an oines. It stopped me from turning up. So I was oines in turning up. I wanted to turn up in the 12 months and mevatel the get. And since I was oines in mevateling the get, therefore it shouldn't be a get. So therefore, the fact that the get chals, even though I was oines in that chalas, it's a proof that ein oines begitten. So that's the meisvei. Because I was only Mekayim the Tanai through an Oinus, so therefore I'm really saying that because I got sick, I'm Mekayim the Tanai. So it's not fair. I didn't really Mekayim the Tanai. I only Mekayim the Tanai through an Oinus, and if it was Yesh Oinus Begitten, then I would get more time, or the get wouldn't chal. So the fact that the Brisa says the Hareze get, therefore we see the Oinus will chal a get, and therefore Ein Oinus Begitten. So we answer La'oila Meimalacha Chala Nami Eino get. So that getting sick, it's also not a get. So we made a diuk that mace is not a get. Therefore, getting sick is a get. We say no, hu adin by getting sick, but oinus is also not a get. But hu gufa kamash malan to ein get la'achar misa. That kamash malan. So therefore, we learn out here that ein get la'achar misa. That's the he gufa. That why do we have the get? Because we're teaching, why are we teaching get and not chala and kosher can get mace? Because we're teaching that in get la'achar misa. So the Gemara says in get la'achar misa hatana leireish. We've already taught this. Dil malafuke mi de rebesenu. So again, all the sugi we've had before, that rebesenu is the case of where there's no zman, where you have a zman. The zman is muchach in the get that I wanted to chal miachshav. So we had this whole sugya and all the nafkaminas previously. Tashema ma'achshav im lo bati mikan ad shnayim asar chodesh. So it goes from now. So therefore it should fall. So it goes from now. If I don't come from now, for 12 months, and then he dies between the 12 months. That's a good get. So, my lab who had din lachala, so therefore that will be a support that yesh onish begitin. So therefore it is hareza get. So it's a get when he didn't come. So imlo bati, I don't come for 12 months, and he dies between 12 months. So therefore he makaims the tanai of the get, and the hareza get is a good get, even though he makaim the tanai through oines. Because he didn't come because of the oines, and it's a get. Therefore, we see there's no oines begitin. Yeah, hu adin lechala. So by chala, he didn't come by oines, and the get still chals. Even though if he, the whole point is that he doesn't come barotzun is the tanai. So saying ein oines begitin because he didn't come because of oines. So we say no. Mei stavka de lo nichale the tipul kamei yibum. It's only the mace that he doesn't want her to come before the yibum. That's the whole achshav thing. But if it's chala, so therefore it wouldn't be a get, because we want to hold in this lashon that yesh onis begitin. Tashma mahud amar lahu. What he said to them: if I don't, imlo asni, if I don't come from now until 30 days, it's a good get. And he comes at the end of 30 days, and then the bridge fell down or the bus is late. Amar lahu chazidati, look I came. And Shmuel says that's not called coming. So oines teshchiach shiny. So we say that there we see here that it ain't oines begitin. He didn't get there because of an oines. It's called lo shemei mati. So coming, but because of oines is not called a coming. So oines teshchiach shiny. The kevin boy last one. He should have given the tanai, and he didn't make the tanai. He lost it on himself. So that's a kind of repeat of what we had before, except from the other side. So the Amar of Shmuel is going to be another sugya, where he says Lo Shanu, that we have to get married on the 4th day on Wednesday, El Mekanas Ezra Ve'elech, which we'll get into later. But we have this toises to deal with. Ike da Amri Amar Rava v'chein le'ilni gittin. Pasak Rabbeinu Pasak Rach Kalishna Kama to Ein Onis Begittin. So the Pasak here of Tosfos is Ein Onis Begitin, like the first Lashon. The Havi Raya, and he brings a Raya that Ein Onis Begitin, Mida Kamar Stama Hashash Bereisha Shalech. So in Gittin it says, Gabi Ha Hu Da Amari Lo Ninsava Atalasim Yomim. So if this case in Gittin, that if we don't get married until, so he gave Kedushin to this woman, and he said to this woman that if I don't do Nesuyin with you within the next 30 days, then this will be a get. So he's done the Kedushin, he hasn't done the Nesuyin yet, and he says, I'll do the Nesuyin within 30 days, and if I don't do it, then you get this get. Imisham oines ein oinsim begitin. So there he didn't turn up, and he, and therefore it's a get, and we say that because ein oines begitin. V'chein nira da'liba de'ika da'amri have a pircha mikol hani, because according to the ika da'amri we have a kasha from all that is Messiah lelishna kama. So if we go in here, all the brises which you bring a meisvei, so the meisvei hereze giteich. So all these brises are pashtus are a kasha. So we have to make ukimtas in them in order to have the miyushav. So really, in the first lashon, as we went through them, we kind of use these we didn't use them as use them as supports. Then we say, we can't prove it from there because Dilma maybe, and then it said something else. If you go back into the first lashon, you'll see whenever it offered an answer to say that you can't learn Rava's Yisoid from this brisa because maybe this is the case. So since he kept saying maybe, and then here we're saying. We're learning it kapshuta with these ukimtas, but without any ukimtas, reizegitech imlo bati mikan ves shnai misar chodesh yemeit betok shamash chodesh eino get. The pashas is it's davka meis, but chala that's a get. So that's the pashtus of the brisa. So that's a kasha on the second teretz, and therefore Tosfos is learning that the Ikeda Amri you have the pirchi from all kani but the Maisi Tziula Lishna Kama. So that all the brises are really support for the first lashon, and velo samchinen shini dechiki. So that the Tosfos is saying that these terutzim are daichik teretz, and since they're daichik teretz, we're not going to rely on them for psak halacha. So therefore, we are we're passing like ein onis begitin. So that's the introduction of Tosfos to this. We're saying that the halacha is einos begitin, and because of this, kasha l'ri. Now this is a psak arach, so that's how psak arach. So based on that, kasha l'ri. Ri has his kasha. The masik de perek misha oiches. So over in Gittin we say, de bein de amar hareze gitech im mesi michulize. So whether he says that this is your get if I die from this sickness, bein in amar im lo amod michulize, or he says he doesn't stand up from this sickness. So he gives two lashonos in the Tanai, either from the guy's in bed and he's noita to death. He says, if I die from this sickness, then this is a good get. Or if I don't get up from this sickness, then this is a good get. So they're the two tanais that he makes. Now, what actually happened was naful alav habayis, so that the house caved in on him, or nishchu nachash, or a snake bit him, or achlu ari, or a lion ate him. Now, again, he's lying in bed. He's close to death. And he Lamaisa, he doesn't get up from the sickness. Why didn't he get up from the sickness? Because the house fell in on him. So that, would kind of make sense, because he's just lying in bed and the house fell in on him. Nashku nachash, so there's a nachash in the house, and obviously we know this from the halachas of Giloi, which we'll actually come on to soon. And then here, Achlu Ari, so seemingly a lion comes into his house and eats him in his bed, which is a little bit far-fetched, but there you go. One of these three things happened. Did Allah have a get? It's not a good get. Now, why is it not a get? Alma dieshonis begitin. Now, it should be a get, because if we had ein onis begitin, then he says, if I don't get up, lo amod michulizeh, he didn't get up from the sickness. He didn't get up from the sickness. Now, it was because of the oines, because a lion ate him, was the oines that stopped him from getting up, but he never got up from that. So if we say ein onis begitin, so he's really tiny. I would have got up, but the lion ate me, so therefore I couldn't get up. So it was oinus by not getting up from the sickness. So he's tiny the oinus, so it really should be a get. But it says the law have a get, so it's not a get. So now we have a big problem. The whole yisoid. Alma mishum de bein im mesi mechuli zeh bein im lo amud mashma shimus machmezeh chuli. So it's only, so therefore the lashonis is davka from this sickness. So even though he didn't get up because the house fell in on him, ain't no get, it's not a get to ein zeh michuli zeh, because that's not from that sickness. So he never got up, but not from that sickness. So even though he never said that, but that's the mashmos of the whole lashonis. So this is like a kasha on the whole yisoid that we've had up to this point. So Tosfos is now saying, well, maybe the whole reason is not because of oinus, and we have another reason why this would be. But the sugi over there is muchach that it's because of oines yesh onis begitin. That's the reason why it is not a good get. So gavi hahu gavra dezavenara lechavre. So he sold land to his friend. The kabbalah kol anusa, and then when he sold, he makabbled all oines on him. The Islal Bay, that would happen to it. So he sells the land. A sells the land to B. And A says to B, any oinus that happens, I'm makabel upon myself. So if you have, an oinus would be that it gets flooded. An oinus would be the king takes it from him. All these types of oinusin are he's makabel upon him. So if those oinus happens, then A will reimburse B. So B pays $100 for the land to A. A has $100, and he says, any oinus that happens, I will pay you back. Amarava, oinus to loshechu. So Rava says there, so what happened there actually is that the melech come and took it. So since the king took it, Rava says he's potter. Why is he potter even though A makabelled all the oinsin on him? So Rava says, because it's an oinus lo shchiachu, and therefore, since it's an oinus lo shchiach, so therefore we see that that wasn't included when he took on the oinusims. Now, again, let's be clear here that all this stuff is Amar Rava. Rava is the man to Amar here. Ika da Amri Amar Rava. So Rava is our man here. So Rava over there says that Amar Rava oinus lo shchiachu. So therefore, an oinus lo shchiach is yesh oinus lo shchiach begitten. Umaisi Rava seyuta mehata achla ari ein oget. So Rava himself brings the case over there that when the lion ate him, it's not a get. So Rava himself. So how we see here that so the whole flow of that Gemara is that since we haven't gitten, this yesh oinus begitten, so too by the land yesh oinus b'moicher karka. So again, an oinus happened, and it's still a good sale, and B doesn't get his money back. And the proof is because yesh oinus begitten, because when the Ari ate him, then it's not a good get. So therefore we see in Rava, so firstly, clearly, that this case, the whole reason that it's not a get is because yesh oinus begitten. And secondly, it's Rava himself who's bringing this case, so therefore, how can Tosfot posken that ein oinus begitten, or how can the Rach posken that yesh oinus begitten, and then Tosfot is asking the question, we see here that Rava himself holds that yesh oinus begitten. Alma oinus de lo shchiach yesh tainus oinus l'Rava. So Rava himself gufa he holds yesh oinus begitten. V'hacha kama Rava gufa be lishna kama shehu eker de ein oinus afilu be oinus de lo shchiach kademuchach hasugya. So here Rava himself says in the first lashon that shehu eker. This is like parenthetical. So Rava himself is the first to ein oinus if he lo ba'oinus lo shchiach. So even an oinus. So we said we had in the case of so we had the case of the bridge falling down, that is shchiach. So therefore everything else is an oinus. Kedemuchach hasugya, because the sugi itself says clearly. So Rav over there says, so the first lashon he says that there is no oinus begitten, and now he says there is oinus begitten, so stira in Rava, so I can rach poskin like the first lashon. So Omar Ri, so therefore Ri's going to bring a terrace to this and explain the whole case of oinus. The gimel inyane oinus is 3 levels of oinus. Hen. The oinus the loshkech klal kahahi the mish oichazu afilu lishna kama the Rava haka. So something that's not shchiach klal. So for example, when a lion ate him, if a lion eats the guy, so then that's an oinus to lo shchiach klal. So with an oinus lo shchiach klal, the mishacha afilu lishna kama the Rava the hacha yesh oinus. So even Rava here in the first lashon again, which we're going to poskin by, so all this is going to go according to the first lashon. According to the first lashon, where we say ein oinus begitten, for an oinus the lo shchiach klal yesh oinus begitten. So something that's bechlal not shayach, like a lion eating the guy, or a snake be biting him or killing him, or the house falling in. That's called yesh oinus begitten, and that's not shchiach klal. So therefore, Rava will always say that that's not included in the Tanai. Because when he made the Tanai, he was never had, and again, according to Rashi, so then this is going on the posuk of oinus lenar lo tasadavar, that there's that the Torah is potter oinsin. So with the oinus the lo shchiach klal, that's not what the posuk is talking about. The posuk is talking about normal oinsin. According to the Ran, where it's according to your das, so when you're making the Tanai, you're not including the Tanaim of ridiculous things like lions eating people. The lo shchiach, so yeshon the lo shchiach, chasam letaken mishum tznius. So now, here again, Rava is metaken this whole din of ein oinus according to the first lashon. So when it's not shchiach klal, then Rava doesn't need to metaken anything. L'taken mishum tznius mishum prutzus. De la'olam lo svar tznius de nafal alav habayis. Or she'chachshu nachash. So that the tznius will never think that that happened. Kevin de lo shchiach klal. So since it's not shchiach klal, therefore the tznius will never have that idea. Now, what exactly is going on here? So Rav, if we go back to the beginning of the daf here, so Zimnin de lo anis, this is going on the tznius. Sometimes there wasn't an oinus, v'svar de oinus. So this is the whole problem of the tznium. So if you're the tznius, it says Zimnin de lo anis have a get, so it's not a get. So they didn't oinus, and it's a get, and they think he was oinus and it was a get. So why can't they just think that, yeah, alienated? Why they're already thinking that they're oinisim where there weren't oinisim? So why can't they say? Why aren't they thinking up? Oh yeah, a snake killed him. This is the whole point of the Takana of Rava. So that Tosfos, again, I would just say, yeah, for sure that Rava. The whole point of Rava is that the Frommies are thinking about rachok things. Again, we spoke a bit last time about a miach in a mutzi. And like, do you have to check cashews? Do you have to check peanuts? So, a miach in a mutzi is under 10%. Cashews, again, this is my experience, maybe 1 in 100, 1 in 50, maybe. I mean, you can have different results yourself, but peanuts, I mean, I don't think I find anything in peanuts, and I've opened up hundreds of peanuts. That the Frommies will tell you have to check. You have to check peanuts. You have to check cashews. Why? Because this is like they're from. That's what they do. They check things that they shouldn't be checking. They're worried about things that I don't need to be worried for. So here in the Gemara, Zimnin de lo anis v'svar de anis. So their whole story it wasn't oines, but they're worried about things like houses falling down and lions eating people. That's exactly how I would learn the Gemara there. Tosfos is saying that we don't need to do that for them at all. So why not? We don't need to be metake because the tznium are not worried about this. The tznium are not the lo shchiach that the tznium umishum to loyam lo svar tznius to nafal alav abayder or shenachu nachash gem lo shchiach klal. They're not worried about things that aren't shchiach at all. Since they're not shchiach, they're not worried about it. Again, I would just learn the Gemara that way. That's exactly what we're making the Takana for. And it also comes out, according to Rava, that if the guy, the house fell on him, Itaka is a guess, and then so Zimnan de lo anis. Now here he was oinus, so it wasn't a get, and then they'll go get married. So what exactly is going on here with the Takana? How can Tosfos say that the preachers aren't aren't worried about these things? Is the question clear? So we have to say that the Tznuim are worried about normal oinsin, svara de oinis. The whole point that you can't have a svara that the guy got eaten by a lion. No one's going to say that this is what I'm worried about, because since that never happens, that's not what people are worried about. Something ridiculous. I mean, it could be that he's on the moon. 2,000 years ago, he got on a NASA ship, and there was a time machine, and they brought him to the moon. But since it's not shchiach klal, therefore people aren't worried about those type of things. So therefore, the women that tznium are worried about normal things that you should be worried about. Things that you're not worried about klal because they're lo shchiach, they aren't worried about that because it's lo shchiach klal. So Rav is only metaken for the things that you would actually think that they would be an oineh. So yeah, I would think that the guy got sick. That would make sense because people get sick, and therefore the tznuim are worried about them getting sick. But you would never think, so anything that the tznuim are worried about, Rava is metakin for. Everything they're not worried about, they're not metakin for. So what is a normal person worried about? They're worried about normal things happening. So anything that's normal happening, so Rava is metakin for them that the get chals. so that they won't become a naguna. But something that no one's worried about, he's not metaking, so metaking, if that happens, you'll get all sorts of issues coming out of it, but the takana isn't there because you're not worried about that. Because you're only worried about normal things to be worried about, and therefore something that's not normal to be worried about, you're not worried about it. So, and then Tosfos says, for the prutzis, umisham prutzis nami likle michash, keven telo shchiach shiasu kain, shiaseh kain. So, firstly, what on earth is Tosfos actually just saying? What are these words that Tosfos is saying? And then, what's the svara of what Tosfos is saying? So, because of prutzis, so what's happening here? So, Rava has because again, I would think before this Tosfos, and he's bringing our Gemara in Gittin, that if the guy's in bed and he says, if I don't get up, and then the house falls on him and he dies, that it's a get, even if it's oines. Rav is metaken for that. And one of the reasons that Rav is metaken for that is because people will think, because the prutzis will be like, even if it's not a get, I'll just pretend that it's a get, and I'll have my merry way. So here is a classic case of where we should be metaken for prutzis, and Rav is not metaken for prutzis, and the prutzis it will not be a get, and they will be marrying anyway. So what is Tosfos saying here? That for the prutzis leike lemichash, we shouldn't worry about it. Keven de lo shchiach, it's not shchiach that it sheyaseh kain, that it will happen. Why? So why are we not worried about prutzis? We should be making a tikana for the prutzis. So if you want to tell me for the tsunuas, they're not thinking about it, so the tsunuas are just screwed anyway, because they're gonna marry somebody else, even though it wasn't a get. So they're not worried about it. So that's not because they're not uprooting. Rav is not making a takana for that. But here the prutzis make the takana. So what is this? What's Tosfos' teretz here? But here b'chlal, the prutzis are going to take advantage of Chazal, which they do. If you want to see people taking advantage of Chazal, go to the West Coast, go to a drasha on Shavuos in Los Angeles, and see all the heterim that they're bringing, that they're using Chazal in order to say what they wanted to say. So here the prutzis are going to use Chazal and say, oh, look at that, it's a get, I can do what I want. So here, the Pashas Tosfos is saying that Chazal are only metakein something that's shchiach. Something that's shchiach, that's not shchiach klal, Chazal aren't metakein. They don't do takanas for things that aren't shchiach klal. So you're only making takanas, you're only fixing things that are normal to happen. Because if it's not normal to happen, so you're not really fixing it because it doesn't happen. So here, the Lashon Tosfos is saying, Mishum prutzis. Prutzis will take advantage of the situation. Leike lemichash, we don't have to worry. What are we not worrying about? We don't have to worry about making a takana for them so that they don't take advantage. Kevin the law shchiach shiaseh ken. This is not shchiach that this happens, that a lion eats the guy. So therefore, Chazal don't have to step in and fix stuff, because Chazal only step in and fix stuff when it's common. If two standard deviations are having issues, that's not where Chazal make takanas. The Chazal make takanas for the meat of the standard distribution and not the tails of the distribution. That's the takana. So therefore, they don't have to make a takana for the prutzis, even though the prutzis will take advantage of the situation. That's not Chazal's job to make takanas for the tails. So that was the first case of oines lo shchiach klal. This is so again he said that there's three types of oines. So the first type is oines shchiach klal, so that yesh oines begitten. Oines the shchiach, a common oines, go on hakad paskim the mavra afilo leika de amri ein oines di boile la sune. So there. We said over there that you can't use it as an oines. Shmuel says it's not called you came. And there we said, well, because he should have made it tonight. Since it's a common oines, he should have made it tonight, and therefore you can't use common oines in order to break your tonight. Because obviously, if you say, if I'm late because of the bus or because of the bridge falling down, so that tonight in the get, so therefore you made the tanai, so therefore it's meferish. That's not called oinus, that's just called part of the get. So you say, if I don't come 30 days, being that I don't miss the bus, or being that the bridge is up for all 30 days, so then it's a get. So therefore, if the bridge fell, so therefore the whole tanai doesn't come into effect because the bridge wasn't up for 30 days. So you made the tanai specifically in the get during the time of the get. So that's what we spoke about before. So therefore, those two cases, very shchiach and lo shchiach klal, that they're not what Rav is talking about. Aval oines the shchiach v'lo shchiach. So therefore, this is the middle case. It's common, but it's not so common. So getting sick is common, but it's not so common. People get sick, but you wouldn't expect anyone to get sick. Again, and when anyone is sick, they feel like they've never been well before in their life. And when they're well, they feel like they've never been sick before in their life. And no one expects to get sick. And it's so it's oines, but it's not like ridiculous to hear, oh, someone got sick. So that's in that case of oines d'shkiach v'lo shkiach. It's a common and a non-common case. Baha pligi trei lishni derava. That's what the two lashonis are arguing about. And again, chala is specifically the case. You say meis, and what about sick? That's what the two cases are. So sickness, any level of oines like sickness. The hilchasa kalishna kama, and this is what the Rach and now Toisus is agreeing with the Rach at the Ravaka the Pershino, and therefore everything is going like we've explained up to this point. So therefore, that the halacha is ein oines begitten, and we're going like the tekana of Rava in the first lashon. So that kind of wraps up the sugya of Einos Begitten, and we're going to move on to a new topic. So Amar Rav Shmuel Bar Yitzchak Lo Shanu. So this is the Lo Shanu of get married on Wednesday. Lo Shanu Eila Mitikanas Ezra Ve'elech. It's we only learn that you get married on Wednesday, which is what the Mishnah says from the Takana of Ezra and Elech. So obviously Takana Ezra is the time of Ezra. Ezra built the second temple, so we have the kind of the in between the two temples and the beginning of the second temple. So Mitzkan Ezra ve'elech she'ein batei dinim kavun. So this gets a bit strange. What does it mean that the batei dinim are not fixed? Ela b'sheni v'chamishi. So the Takana of Ezra, which we had said earlier, this is why is there based in on Mondays and Thursdays? That's the Takana of Ezra. So since the Mishnah is linked to the Takana of Ezra, therefore the din of the Mishnah is only going on the time of the Takana of Ezra, of the whole time when you have the kaviyas of the based in on Mondays and Thursdays. Aval koidem Takana Ezra. Shabbat dinim kavun b'chol yom. So before Ezra, when the Bate Din, the base din was every day, Isha nisis b'chol yom. So therefore the woman gets married every day. Now, the Parsha B'Shat of the Gemara doesn't make any sense, and it will become clear in the Tosfot. I mean, Tosfot here, Shabbat dinim kavun b'chol yom, ve'im tema v'ki tikun Ezra shelo yiheh Bate dinim kavuim b'chol yom ele b'bate b'hei bilvad. So what exactly is Ezra doing? Every day there's a base din. So every day means Sunday to Friday, and not on Shabbos, but every other day. At this stage, anyway, they have a base din. So comes Ezra and says, don't do din every day. Do the din only on Mondays and Thursdays. So, how's that a tikkun? It says that tikkun, it's one of the tikkunas of Ezra. How could Ezra be metakein by going from 6 days to 2 days? That should be called the kilkul of Ezra. So that's the kasha. That's the first kasha Tosfos here, saying that just what's the Gemara talking about? How could it be that the tikkun of Ezra, where that the batim mishenim v'chamishi, but before the shbatidim kavim b'chol yom, the basis is kaveh every day. So What's that about? Rashi Shabbat Din Kavon B'Chol Yom Kloimar. Now, it seems to be people don't know what Klomar means. And yeah, if you've been to Rav Mendel Shir, he makes this quite clear. But I've met people in the Mir and I've met people in who've been learning from this. They don't know. They think like Klomar means that is to say, Klomar means it's not the Posh Pshat. And the Posh Pshat here means that the Beis Din was there every day. So now Rashi says Kloimar means they weren't learning every day. They wouldn't have a Kavias every day. The words the Beis Din was Keva B'Chol Yom. This is the classic case of Kloimar. It's not the Posh Pshat. Posh Pshat is they were Keva every day. Rashi says it doesn't mean they're Keva every day. It means Shekavias Kol Hayamim Shalva. Every day that they were Koveya was Shalva. Now I don't know if this Rashi is so clear by itself. What exactly is Rashi talking about? What is this Metzias? The Rashi says that the Kavias every day at the same level of Kavias. So it doesn't mean. I know it doesn't mean that they were Keva every day, because if they were Keva every day, Rashi doesn't say anything. I mean, what the hell is he doing? If the Gemara says the Beis Din was Keva every day, and Rashi says they were Keva every day, he's not saying anything. And he says Kloimar here, so therefore it doesn't mean they were Keva every day. So we have to see what does Rashi mean here, that they had Kavias every day. So Toys has a second question. V'od kasha. Second question. Ta'amrim b'Shabbos. What do you say in Shabbos? Mi sheyesh lo zechus avos yakes b'beisu b'hei. Somebody who has zechus avos, he can do a makis dam. So again, makis dam is where they would have the blood letting. So this is something they used to do, and it's there seems to be you can say nishtana heteva, but there seems to be, at least back then, a medical benefit of having this. It was like a real medical benefit. It seems to be some type of something out there still today, a rishimu today of this din, that if you have a makis dam, you can find on some of the corners of the internet that it's a good thing for you and it'll cure some of your ailments. But that's for a different day. But they would have their blood let, and it says basically only somebody who has zakos avos, you should have the yakis dam on the Monday and the Thursday. So therefore, and now the reason for that is because the Beis Din is meeting on the Mondays and the Thursdays. So therefore, if you don't have zakos avos, the best thing for you to do is to have makis dam on Sunday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Friday, because the Beis Din is a meeting there. Now what happens is that since the Beis Din Lamata is meeting on Mondays and Thursdays, therefore the Beis Din Lamala is meeting on Mondays and Thursdays. And therefore there's a kitrug, that there is a, since the man is in din Lamala, that there's a din, a kitrug of din on people on Mondays and Thursdays, and since the makis dam is you're entering into some type of sakana, so therefore you should only do it if you have zechut avos. So therefore that you have the din and you come out zakai, so therefore you get the makis dam on the Monday because you're such a tzaddik. So basically, if you're a good tzaddik, if you're such a tzaddik, so therefore you should get the bloodletting on the days when the Beis Din are meeting. So therefore Toises is saying v'ki kodem tekanas Ezra lo hayu mazikin kol eker. How could you, since the Gemara is saying that you are they're keva b'kol yom, the Beis Din is fixed every day, so therefore you can never be makis dam. And also again at this point Toises is learning that they are also meeting on Friday, because you could just say, well, why don't you makis dam on Friday if the Beis Din isn't meeting on Friday? So it's mashma here in Toises that b'chol yom includes Friday, which will become maybe interesting later. So lo hayu makizin kol iker question mark. So since every day you have a Beis Din lamata, therefore you have a Beis Din lamala every day. How could you ever makis dam? So these two questions are asking the same question. How could it be that beforehand that they were meeting every day? So again, now hopefully he'll explain this Kloimar in the Rashi, and we can just put the two together. According to Kana Ezra, lo hayu kavuyim b'chol yom. They wouldn't fix before the day. They weren't keva b'chol yom. Well, the Gemara says they are. I mean, that's exactly what the Gemara says. Keva b'chol yom. Eile kashahayu tzrichen l'shom din. Only when they need some type of din. So again, they say that this is what it's like today. That if you want, I can take you to Beis Din any day of the week. Now, even if there's no Beis Din available, I say to you, I'll take you to Beis Din next Sunday. So you call up the Beis Din and say, I'm coming on Sunday. And then they'll get 3 guys together. But I could also say, let's have a Beis Din on Tuesday. I'm coming on Tuesday. I'll take you to Beis Din on Tuesday or on Wednesday. Whatever day I want to take you to Beis Din, I can do that. The Tekanas Ezra, I couldn't do that. If I want to take you to Beis Din, I have to take you to Beis Din on Wednesday, on Mondays or Thursdays. Any other day of the week, there was no kaviyas of Beis Din, and therefore I don't know if I'm going to get a din or not. But now, like if I call up the Beis Din and I say, Wednesday at 2:00, we're coming, and they're like, okay. But before, it would have to be, if I want to get a fix, it would have to be Mondays or Thursdays, and maybe you'll get a Beis Din on those other days, but it's akrai. It wouldn't be fixed that they're there. So only when I need a din, hayu yoshvim, b'chol yom v'yom. So every day when you need a din, every day is available when you need a din. However, let's say you have a whole week where no one has a din, so then the Beis Din didn't sit the whole week. So whenever you have a din, that's when the Beis Din will sit. But if you don't have a din, you don't sit. The Ezra tikun shia kavoyim b'beis ubehei. So Ezra was metaken on that. The Beis Din sits even if no one wants it. Sit on Mondays and sit on Thursdays. So every Monday you will find the Beis Din, and every Thursday you will find the Beis Din, and you don't have to do any kaviyas yourself. The kol harotze ledon yavo v'yudon, and anyone who wants a din, come and be yudon. So now that's really this is what Rashi is saying. The kaviyas kol hayomim shava. Beforehand, the level of kaviyas was all the same. I could go and have a Beis Din with you on Sunday, just like Tuesday, just like Wednesday, just like Thursday, just like Friday, just like Monday. The kaviyas is the same, but the Beis Din wouldn't sit and be koveya every day. From Ezra, they were koveya every Monday and every Thursday. So there was a kaviyas that there would be a Beis Din set and done every Monday. You go to the Beis Din, they're there. Every Thursday you go to Beis Din, they're there. Before Ezra, they weren't necessarily there on Monday. They were necessarily there on Thursday. But every day from 1 to 6, then they were available, and you could get your din on any of those days. The kaviyas, having your Beis Din on any of those days was equal in all of them. However, in Ezra, Mondays and Thursdays is the time to have your din, and doing it on a Wednesday it's difficult. Again, it's not that you can't have a din on those other days, but since there's no kaviyas of it, even getting a Beis Din together is already a suffek or a more difficult idea.
J-boy.
Yeah.
So just to kind of clarify that, I guess. So you're saying that the Beis Din before Ezra, Beis Din they didn't necessarily get together every single day.
Yeah.
But they were just available if you called on them between 1 and 6, like you said, or.
Yeah, they're the days of the week, 1 and 6. So that's like the not the times.
Oh, 1 through days 1
yes.
through 6. Okay.
Yeah. So
they didn't necessarily convene, but they
exactly
wanted them to.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't really know what the Rabbanut does. I mean, I can take you to there is a Beis Din, Jerusalem Beis Din. That's what the Rabbanut is. One of the things they do is they have a Beis Din. I don't know if they sit every day. I don't know if they have specific days. Let's say I want you to pay me my kasuva. So I'll take you to the Rabbanut Beis Din. So I don't know if a kaviyas will be you can only have your din on Tuesday between we meet every Tuesday between 1 and 6. So if you want the din, then you have to kind of come then. Or it's just like, so now you've called me, so we'll get stuff together. Someone I know needed an affidavit or something signed in front of the Beis Din, and they said that, come, it was like Erev Pesach or something. So he came Erev Pesach, the Beis Din was shut, and then the guy's like, he showed him the proof that I had the based in here. I'm like, I didn't think it'd be on Erev Pesach, but what you gonna do? So the guy then called around and got like some guys who weren't working that day to make a based in, and they came in and they were kovei the based in because the guy called them on Erev Pesach and said, the guy's supposed to be here. So you have like a kavias. You turn up on these days is when you do it. So you don't have a kavias in Erev Pesach. That's why no one was there. But he like got 3 guys together in order to witness the signature or whatever had to be done. So they're the kind of 2 things. So at the time, so Ezra, so you have this thing that whenever you want, you kind of speak to the secretary and he'll get 3 guys together, but you're not guaranteed that you'll get. You're not necessarily guaranteed you'll get the basin or whatever if you just turn up. But I will be guaranteed. But if I go ahead, if I say, listen, get me a based in here on Tuesday in 3 days time. Okay, so you get your based in on Tuesday in 3 days time. If I just turn up, I don't necessarily get it. But if I turn up on Monday, I'll get my din. If I turn up on Thursday, I get my din after the Tekanas Ezra.
So right, so Tekanas Ezra made it so that no matter what, Monday and Thursday, you're guaranteed.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Thanks.
So now they were able to be makiz dam b'chol yom kol Tekanas Ezra. Why? Since there was no kavias, there's no kavias down here, therefore there's no kavias up there. So therefore you could be makiz dam whenever you want. So this teretz, again, which is really what Rashi's saying here, the kavias chol yom shava. Again, you can see that this is what Tosfot is saying. Tosfot is again, I don't know how to understand Tosfot, the Rashi without Tosfot, because it's I don't know, it's just like what's he saying. All the kaviyas is sheva. Like, so what's the mitzias? But the mitzias is clear in the Tosfos. So now shahayu there was no kaviyas. So Ri has a whole different teretz. For Ri teretz shelo hayu kavum, they weren't fixed. Techila ela be'ir achas. There was one city. Let's say Jerusalem had a kaviyas every day in one city. So let's say in Jerusalem they had every day they had a kaviyas. You could go to the Rabbanut Beis Din in Jerusalem every day you wanted. So Ezra was mitaken that every city does base and hay. So therefore there was a tikkun. So if you wanted the din, you had to come to the one city. But the konas of Ezra is that every city had its own din, but it wasn't every day. It was base and hay. Now the chayra, part of the tikkana, would also be the original city that had it every day. Also now is only on base and hay. That's the pashtus.
Why would it be that? Why would it be that, like, suddenly 2 days a week is better than every day?
Where, in the one city or in every city?
Every city, like, Ezra made it so that Beis Din was available only on 2
days
a week.
Because originally you had to go to Jerusalem. So you're living in Chad Nes, and you had to go to Tveria or you had to go to Jerusalem to get your Beis Din. And then he was conveyed that even in Chad Nes, there'll be a Beis Din on Mondays and Thursdays. So then that's a great takana for you, because then everyone in your town, in your shtetl, will have the Beis Din there. So you can't have a Beis Din in your shtetl every day because you don't have that type of traffic. You don't have that volume. But by having it in every city, you could do. There's enough going on that 2 days a week you'll have. Now let's say a bigger city would have 2 days a week, maybe 10 hours a day. And a small city would just have an hour a day, depending on how much. But you'll have every city will have the Beis Din keva on the 2nd and the 5th. But going back again, just what's the din of this ela be'ir achas? They had every day in that one city. Again, I'm just saying the pashtus would be that one city would also have to go on to 2 and 5. But I don't know. You could argue on that point. But I mean, what happened to that one city after the Tekanas Ezra? I'm just saying, they were going 2 and 5. Now the volume of work would go down because everyone has their own Beis Din now, so they don't need to come to you. So now you would go on to Wednesdays and Thursdays, and So we have a question here. Can you mazik dam in this one city? Tosfos says that you can't. In his question, you can't be mazik dam because if you're keva every day, then you'll never be able to mazik dam, because you're based in Lamala is Yeah, his original question. Since the Beis Din Lamala meets every day on a kavua manner, so therefore you can have a mazik dam because there's a kitrik b'shamayim. Therefore, don't you shouldn't enter into sakana. So, how does he deal with this? Yeah, he's in this one city. Question on Tosfos. How could that one city ever be Makas Dam? Before Takanas Ezra, they were Keva every day. And Tosfos doesn't bothered by it because he answers it, and he already answered his question. He doesn't go back to it. This is his question. He doesn't seem bothered by it. So Pashas, you have to say here that one city being Keva isn't enough to open that Kavias. The Kavias of one city is enough of a Kavias. And that, so therefore it's not called a Keva Din down here, which is Kovea the Din Lamala. It's only when then here every city is on Mondays and Thursdays, and therefore you have a Kavias. That's called a Kavias in the whole of Israel. So the Kavias in the whole of Israel is opening up the Kavias in Shemayim as well. But when you only have one city that's a kev every day, that's not called a kavias. That will goyrim a kavias in Shemayim. So the Gemara asked the question. So he says about kodem to kanas Ezra Shabbat yidin kavim b'chol yom ishanis is b'cholim. So she get married every day. Kodem to kanas Ezra ma'da have. Who cares? Who cares? What are you telling me what happened before? So you're telling me, so the Mishnah says that a woman can only get married on Wednesday. And then you say, yeah, but before the Mishnah, she can get married whenever she wants. Well, what do I care before the Mishnah? Okay, that's what they used to do, but the Mishnah's now telling me you can only get married on Wednesdays. Hachi kamor. Now this is what we're saying. If we have a Beis Din that's covered today, like before the Tekanas Ezra, so our time is just like the time before Ezra. And Lamaisa, this is what, as we've explained Tosfos, that's really what we have today. That we have a basin is kind of kovea whenever you want them. Isha nisis b'chol yom. So then the woman can get married whenever she wants, every day. So kind of today, we have her getting married whenever she wants. Now this opens a can of worms because we had 3 reasons why she has to get married on a Wednesday. And Chayra, the Beis Din, was only one of those reasons. What were the 3 reasons? Reason number 1 was the tinus of Besulim. That's the Beis Din. And now we have, that's the reason that we get rid of. So then we have our second reason was Shokdu. That even though you could get married on Sunday, you're not allowed to, and you have to get married on the Monday. You have to get married on the Wednesday. Because of Shoktu, you need 3 days. So that's the second reason. And then the Gemara will ask right now, Be'in Shoktu. You can't get married every day. Don't tell me that a woman can get married every day. Be'in Shoktu. So, and then the third point was Brocha. We haven't really gotten to Brocha yet. That's on Hay. Although we did see on Tosfos that the bracha was it's just a good advice. Eitz Tova ba'alma. Now, Habi in the Shoktu, so we answer Shoktu to Tarachle. That no, he did it already. He did it already. So Rashi Shoktu shehaya Tayrach besudas shloshas yamim, and Rashi's kind of bringing this in as if it's a brand new idea. Okay, so you have to be Tayrach besudas 3 days. Now it could be that these 3 days, I did see someone say that these 3 days have to be Ritufin. Has to be 3 days in a row. But we'll see. The Tarech le im Tarech lifnei haShabbos. If he was Tarech before Shabbos, so what does that mean? He was Tarech before Shabbos, that the 3 days were before Shabbos, or does it mean if he was Tarech, or if he was Tarech on Thursday, Friday, Sunday? I have to think about that. So he was Tarech before Shabbos. The Tiken Tzarchei Suda, and he fixed up the Suda. Koinsa bi'echad b'Shabbos. So then he can enter her on the first on Sunday. He can marry her on Sunday. or b'sheni b'Shabbos, or on Monday. Now, what's Rashi doing here? What about Tuesday? So the Gemara says Nisas b'chol yom. What's Rashi doing? Echa b'Shabbos. If he just said Sunday, then I'd know Monday. Would I? Would I know Monday? Would I know Tuesday? If he wants to say Monday and Tuesday, Sunday and Monday. So what about Tuesday? Can I get married on Tuesday? Biyom Shlishi? Why didn't he say that? What's Rashi doing here? I'm just prepping the questions because we'll have to get into this. And the huge question here is, before we said you had to get married on Wednesday. In the Gemara, the Mishnah only says Wednesday because of Shoktu. Because of Shoktu, what if you prepared earlier? Are you allowed to get married on Sunday? So here we're saying you can get married on Sunday. Rashi here says you can get married on Sunday if you were Tarech before Shabbos. Tarech B'Sudash, 3 days, Tarech before Shabbos. So now, can you get married on Sunday? Rashi says, "Beferish, you can get married Shabbos. You can get married on Sunday." This is all after the Takana. So again, we're dealing with a Ike Bati Dinim to Kavum Hedna Kekodim to Kana Ezra. So this is where we don't have the whole Monday and Wednesday, Monday and Thursday din. So the Mishnah is talking about we do have the whole Monday and Thursday din. So in the Mishnah, am I allowed to get married on Sunday if I was Tikkun Sarchi Suda before Shabbos? If I was Teirech before Shabbos, 3 days seemingly. Definitely if I'm getting married on Sunday, I have to be 3 days before Shabbos, which is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I do that. If I do that, can I get married in the Mishnah on Sunday? Because the whole reason it says in the Gemara that the Mishnah only says Wednesday is because of Shoktu. And if I can't get married on Sunday, why can't I get married on Sunday if I was Shoktu beforehand? And what's the difference here with the whole Shoktu business? So this Gemara here is opening up a can of worms. So I guess we'll pick up with the Tosfos, this Isha Nisas B'chol Yom, and then this Tosfos here, Bati Dinim, and there's a whole load of Marmakum also on this one.